Ben Cropp is a famous shark hunter. His defence was once a spear between himself and the shark. Now, armed only with a camera, he joins the shark a metre away. In 52 years of diving, there have been many changes in Ben's remarkable career. Ben began diving back in 1950 and became a champion spear fisherman at a time when the pristine reefs were teeming with fish. In 1963, he swapped his spear gun for an underwater camera and turned to making shark hunting films. Now, 40 years later, with more than 100 wildlife documentaries, Ben Cropp has become a living legend. This is the story of a shark hunter. Picturesque Port Douglas has been Ben's home base for the past 23 years. His little mate Tuffy enjoys a daily beach walk. Ben's vessel, Freedom, is parked right in front of his home. Old dive buddies regularly drop in.
Knock, knock.
Oh, good day, John. How are you? Ben, John's here.
Oh, hi, John.
Former shark hunter and filmmaker John Harding has dived with Ben over the past 40 years.
Good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. Well, Ben, I like the new boat. You've certainly come a long way since those days of a 14-foot tinny.
Well, before that, John, it was a surf ski for 10 years, much, much smaller.
Well, tell us about the early days.
Well, I guess I had my first dive when I was about 3, and that was up in Booker in the Solomon Islands where my father was a missionary. And I fell headfirst into our pool, bottoms up, and I would have drowned, only my sisters saw me and raced in, grabbed me and pulled me out. And I guess that started my love of the water in a strange way. But I also loved fishing. I was mad on fishing. And about January 1950 in Ballina, I was watching these Torres Strait Islanders from a mission boat, and they were spearfishing. And they had primitive goggles and a long spear, and they were getting fish. And I thought, wow, this looks like a good way of getting fish. So I went home and I made my own equipment. I got the inner tube of a motorcycle and fashioned a rubber mask, which had a pane of glass and a strap around it. And I got someone, the foundry, to make me a long spear. And off I went and started spearfishing. I guess I mucked around for a couple of years, didn't know whether I was any good, just brought home a feed. And then we moved up to Tweed Heads in 1953. And that's when I teamed up with 2 really top divers, Ron Cox and Frank Kirkham, who became Australian champions shortly afterwards. And that year they had the first Australian championship. And I got in the team, and surprisingly, we won. And I went on to win 6 Australian spearfishing titles and represented Australia at the world titles. I wasn't necessarily the best, John, in those days, but I had that determination and stamina. I just refused to give up. And when I finally lost that, then I just couldn't win anymore. I always wanted to make my living out of diving because I loved it so much. And I had 2 choices. One was abalone diving down south in the cold, and I went, no, thank you, or underwater filming. So I took that up because that took me up into the warm climes, and I took on the subject of sharks and shark hunting because no one was really filming sharks in those days. Now, what you saw of me spearing sharks with an ordinary spear gun, I mean, that was good, but it was frightening because sometimes, I was pretty close to being chewed up. So a friend and I, we invented an explosive head that used a 12-gauge shotgun cartridge that screwed on the end of a hand spear. And when I lunged at the shark with this weapon, the shell exploded on impact, and the shark, well, it was just killed instantly by the shock. It was very effective on the slow-moving grey nurse sharks, as you remember, John. And then other divers followed, and it became a sport, and almost put the grey nurse into extinction. Then another diver started to use a 303 Army issue cartridge in the explosive head, and we found that was much more effective with the faster moving sharks.
Now this uses a 303 Army issue cartridge, and we have a movable firing pin here so that when the whole lot is screwed up together, all it has to do is hit the shark, and this blasts the charge straight into the shark, and if it's hit anywhere in the head, it will kill it instantaneously.
Originally, Ben's shark hunting began as a search for a repellent. Then the invention of the explosive head in 1963 was a new instant confidence booster for all the adventurous. Yet it was to be misused by an over-enthusiastic minority.
Now, you'd remember just how popular these shark hunting films became after Shark Hunters, and I ended up winning the International Underwater Photographer of the Year award just after Cousteau and Hans Hassett won it.
Two diving legends.
All because of a shark hunting film, the second one I did, called Shark Safari.
Now I'm sorry for all this shark killing. In fact, I truly wish that we'd never designed the explosive head in the first place. Because I feel that, well, the shark is a beautiful, streamlined creature. He fits in well in the environment. He's not really interested in us. And I feel that, well, even this shark has a right to live.
Then along came the film Jaws. You know, everyone had this massive fear of white sharks that didn't exist before. And you may remember a promoter came to me and said, I'll give you $1 million if you fight a great white.
Bill Sargent, I think.
Yeah, and was supposed to be a fight to the death. Got an enormous amount of publicity worldwide. Not good publicity, totally.
Wasn't Evel Knievel and Muhammad Ali involved?
They were to be the judges. Anyway, it never happened because the promoter died and the shark lived. Well, the big change came for me in 1964, and I'm sure you recall that that's the time that George Mai and I met and rode on this absolute monstrous whale shark.
Yeah, down at Montague.
Yes, and it was front page headlines, you know, around the world. And it just changed me totally, you know, to be sitting on the back of this absolute giant. And I sort of thought, after that, you know, who wants to go and kill sharks anymore? I stopped hunting sharks and I became a conservationist, and I started doing films about the creatures rather than hunting them.
Some people find it hard to believe that you're able to change, but you need that experience in order to see the light.
That's right, it's a progression. I guess that was my greatest scoop, you know, up till then. And even National Geographic magazine used my photo as that 3-page fold-out. But a couple of years after that, John, I met another whale shark, and this was off Surfers Paradise. And at that time, they had a shark spotting plane up overhead, and it was relaying live down to the people on the beach through the loudspeakers as to exactly what was going on.
From a Skywatch aircraft, we've presently been circling a very large whale shark, just been sighted off Main Beach. This very large fish looks most spectacular from up here. The rest of the coast seems to be quite free of marine life, but this large fish is right off Main Beach, around about 200 yards out, swimming northbound, and we'll keep you advised as to its movements later on the day. We believe Ben Cropp is on his way down to have an attempt at riding this whale shark.
These scenes of a giant, docile and harmless shark were a sensational hit worldwide, heralding a new and intelligent era in our attitude towards the most feared and most misunderstood denizen of the deep. Ben acknowledges that the earlier hunting era was a necessity, a natural progression to the popularity of scuba diving, and the respect and protection of marine life.
Well, Ben, out of all those books you've written, the first one, Handbook for Skin Divers, I really remember well. The instructions on how to make a spear gun were terrific, and of course tips on underwater photography was exactly what I was after in those days. Ben, 50 years now, underwater experience. I guess the question everyone asks though, but what was the worst experience you ever had with sharks?
I remember the worst, and it was out in the Coral Sea, and we wanted to film sharks, so we did the usual thing of spearing fish. And that was fine, getting good footage. But then in came 6 more sharks at the end of it, and they'd missed out on the food, and they looked at me and probably thought, well, we're going to get this guy. And all 6 of them just screamed in at me. And I literally panicked, you know. I kicked backwards, and at the same time I was kicking them, trying to kick them off me. I kept the camera running all the time that was happening, and it seemed to go on for an eternity. I was totally exhausted. And then later when I replayed the film, it only lasted 15 seconds. Mostly I had close encounters with sharks in dangerous situations, not necessarily, you know, life-threatening like that attack. For example, one time we found a leathery turtle. Now, leathery turtles are rare, and this leathery turtle was actually rolling around upside down. And then we realised that a great white shark was hanging around close by, and this was an evasive tactic by the turtle. Foolishly, I jumped in the water.
The shark's back!
Where's the turtle?
I don't know, but the shark's back.
What? Where?
I don't know, he was here a minute ago. He's probably under the boat.
And I got filmed, but I mean very, very brief, because as soon as that white turned away from the thrashing of the turtle and turned towards me, I thought, he's going to take me instead, and I jumped out of the water quite quickly.
Did you see him?
Oh, yeah. I didn't like him. Don't trust him at all. There he is. Big one, about 4 metres. Now, with great whites, it's really risky, you know, being in the water with them. And so in all my future filming with them, I really got in a cage. This was down at Albany in Western Australia, and it was just before whaling was closed totally in Australia. And Hugh Edwards and I, we got this cage and we put it right beside this dead whale, this harpooned whale, and filmed the great whites coming in. And these sharks would come in and take dinner-sized chunks out of the whales with each bite.
The great white or white pointer is the most awesome marine animal of all. These sharks pursue migrating pods of whales to prey upon the weak and newborn, or in this example, the harpooned whales brought into the old whaling station at Albany, Western Australia.
Then the shark would turn around and see us in the cage and would come up to the cage and ram the cage, bump it, and eventually it almost got too dangerous, you know, even to be in the cage. Another time we're out at Middleton Reef near Lord Howe Island, and we wanted to do a feeding frenzy to film it. So we did the usual thing. We got a whole lot of fish carcasses, dropped them on the bottom, and very soon these whaler sharks came in. Not big ones, quite, you know, 4 or 5 foot, but there were dozens of them. In fact, we counted about 40. And these whalers were going in and out around us, almost between our legs, eating up this food. There was a certain amount of danger because, you know, to meet one shark or be bitten by one shark is bad enough, but with 40 sharks, you know, it really multiplies the risk.
That's a lot of sharks. I'm glad I wasn't there.
All the time that we were down there, we didn't realise that just beyond our vision was this big tiger shark. He was watching us, waiting for his turn to come in.
Ben Cropp, get the smokies, quick.
What's the matter?
3 big tigers down there.
I don't know which one's yours.
And he didn't come in until we actually stopped filming the whalers. Well, Wally, in those days, was still mad keen on shark hunting, so he quickly grabbed 303 head, screwed it on, jumped back in the water, it just came straight up at him. I mean, it probably was an attack. And while he met it head on, hit it with the 303, and the shark just kept coming in a headlong rush, hit the surface, but was mortally wounded. Then a few years ago, I came across 200 sharks, big sharks, and they were feeding on this massive black pilchards off Cape Cuvier in Western Australia. I've never seen anything like it, these sharks just swimming in and out of these pilchards and rushing through and trying to grab the food. It was the greatest feeding frenzy that I'd ever witnessed. So I decided, well, I better get down amongst them and try and film them underwater. But when I got down there, it was just too dangerous, far too dangerous to get in the water. So I just used the simple method of putting the camera in over the dinghy, and I got wonderful shots. I got probably the same as if I was swimming and kept all my lens intact. And then after that, in came two whales, bride's whales, and they would come in and roll over and open their cavernous mouth and just swallow, a ton of pilchards. It was the most awesome feeding sight that I've ever witnessed.
Wobbegong sharks are an endangered species, and also they're very important protectors of rock lobsters. These sharks eat the octopus that prey on the lobster. Catching a tow on a non-aggressive shark was acceptable in the 1960s, but not today. A young Eva Cropp found it was fun playing with this leopard shark about 1967 off Tweed Heads. Crusher plates for teeth. A little leopard in captivity at Marineland has an octopus for lunch. There are few underwater experiences that equal a close encounter with this giant. Ben's sons joined Dad's expedition to Western Australia's Ningaloo Reef to swim with the plankton-eating whale sharks. Dean and Adam feel the rush of adrenaline when the great shark opens its cavernous mouth and rises to meet them. Ben Cropp's earliest inspirations came from his fascination with the sea and the drive of a young man with a quest for knowledge in what was then an unknown realm. An early form of professional diving was to capture sharks alive with a spear gun. This now primitive technique actually worked very well. Ben places his spear in the dorsal fin of a grey nurse shark he wants alive for Marineland on the Gold Coast. A grey nurse will give birth to a pair of pups, but often the first shark to develop will cannibalise the other before birth. Marineland was a landmark attraction on the Gold Coast, and Ben was one of the original owners. Grey nurse sharks adapt well in captivity. Being twilight and nocturnal hunters, they have a docile nature by day. Eva Cropp wouldn't attempt this type of contact with the same shark in the wild. At At dinner parties, Ben's mango daiquiris are a specialty.
Your favourite, Louise?
Ben still loves to spearfish, and today's catch is on the menu. His own recipe for battered fish on the barbie is simply delicious. November 16, 1977. Ben's expedition in search of the famous Pandora made Australia's maritime discovery of the century. Lost since 1791 on the far northern section of the Great Barrier Reef, the Pandora was returning to England with some of the captured mutineers of Captain Bligh's bounty. Dean and Adam's mother, Ben Cropp, and Wally Gibbons are in the process of salvaging the large earthenware jar. This British naval ship is a significant time capsule of history and the most important maritime archaeological discovery in Australia. The salvaged relics now fill an entire museum in Townsville.
It'll hold a bit of water too. I suppose it'll be about, what, 30 gallons, maybe? TMF. I wonder what TMF stands for. Some sort of a sign at the top. Like it made the cast, I guess.
In what has become a 40-year quest involving all of Australia's vast coastline, Ben has now found more than 100 sunken ships. Rising compressed air rapidly expands through this tube. This creates an underwater vacuum cleaner. Sand is removed to reveal whatever treasures lie hidden below. An antique brass lamp is in great condition despite a century in the sea. A consignment of brass alarm clocks also survive well in the depths. The non-government sponsored salvage of any shipwreck in Australian waters more than 75 years old is now forbidden. Divers are still allowed to explore the wrecks, but relics must remain untouched.
That's the sperm whale oil.
Yeah, that's a shame.
That's what started off all the sperm whales being slaughtered. This one's in very good nick. October 21, 1884. That dates the wreck.
For scuba divers worldwide, their most popular shipwreck is off Cape Bowling Green, just south of Townsville. Here, the 3,500-ton steamship Yongala disappeared during a cyclone back in 1911 with all 137 hands on board. There were no survivors. Few had dived the wreck since it was discovered. Then, in 1977, Ben, Lynn and Wally began a salvage to establish what was to become Ben Cropp's Shipwreck Museum in Port Douglas. On the first deep penetration of the wreck, Lynn locates a storeroom of spare brass lanterns which are nicely preserved.
Ben, of all the shipwrecks you've taken me to, the Yongala's the one I enjoyed the most.
Well, we certainly took a lot of stuff off her in the early days. We can't do that anymore.
Years of marine growth and a partial collapse of the steel structure make Wally's discovery of the Yongala bell even more significant. Any similar future discoveries to equal this seem certain to come from the technically difficult realm of very deep diving.
It's heavy. I'll say it's heavy. I think I've solved the mystery of why it sunk. All the portholes on the wreck are open. some of them are closed, but they haven't been dogged down.
Oh, that's right. That other one was closed, but it wasn't there.
This means probably when the cyclone hit it, the portholes being open, she's got into a heavy seaway and all the water's come in through the portholes, and she's found it.
Yeah, well, if she heeled over to the wind in the cyclone and all the water poured in one side, she'd go down. Because she's laying on the side, too.
That's right.
She's gone down like that.
Yeah, well, this could be the answer to the mystery.
Yeah, well, might clean it up. It's a good little relic somewhere.
Cracked, eh?
Look at this. Adelaide Steamship Company.
Yeah.
Isn't that good?
Oh, but you even got their own brand name on them.
Yeah.
Well, there's
How'd
some
you like to
deeper
eat your
ones.
tea off this tonight?
I think we'd have to give them a wash first.
The ultimate find, the ship's bell.
Yes, that, eh?
The importance of the Yongala's relics occupy a large section of Ben's Shipwreck Museum.
It's looking pretty good now. This cannon has been sitting for the last 10 months in the special treatment bath. But now all I've got to do is dry it out in the sun and give it a couple of coats of epoxy varnish. But the sea has treated this cannon pretty harshly whilst it's been on the reef. It's full of corroded pockmarks, but it is fully preserved, and soon it will be on display in my Shipwreck Museum. Now, relics like this are a time capsule of our past, and that's why I find wreck hunting such a rewarding adventure.
Ben Cropp's Shipwreck Museum was established in 1980 and is now relocated in Cairns. The museum is operated by the local Maritime Archaeological Association, who now care for a lifetime's work of collecting these historic treasures of the Australian sea.
You know, John, bureaucracy's really dampened my enthusiasm for going out these days and search for sunken ships. The government now has regulated that any shipwreck over 75 years old is deemed to be historic. You can't touch it. And yet there's hundreds of shipwrecks out there, even yet to be discovered, that are not historic. They're just shipwrecks. And if you find a wreck and you don't report it, that's a crime.
Really?
Oh, yes. And but worst of all is if you take a relic off it, disturb the shipwreck, even if it's for my museum, that's a big crime. And you can go to jail, or you can pay a horrendous fine for it.
For making a discovery.
Yeah, well, if you make a discovery and do nothing else, that's all right. But the moment you touch things or take something out of there, that becomes a crime. And it's really curbed my enthusiasm, and I do miss those old days of discovery and salvage.
A passion that's never been dampened is Ben's love of diving the Great Barrier Reef. His base at Port Douglas is right on the doorstep of the greatest coral wonderland in the world. This is Ben's realm.
Well, Lynn Roberts, you're a very graceful diver. How did you get into diving?
It was while I was filming my first film with Ben in Vanuatu. I did a dive course on the President Coolidge, and that's a massive, spectacular shipwreck, and it's the best in the world. And it was around the time when Ben received his Order of Australia.
Ah, could we see the medal by any chance?
Love to show you.
The Order of Australia, a great honour and recognition for services to marine conservation and wildlife documentaries. Another big achievement for Ben, with the help of Valerie Taylor and the Sydney media, was to convince the government to protect the colony of performing potato cod at the now famous Cod Hole. The battle to save the coast from overdevelopment and to protect existing mangroves was far from easy. Ben lost many battles at first, before the tide turned in favour of the environmentalists. The deadly box jellyfish. While testing an Aboriginal cure for its sting, the adventurer becomes a guinea pig in the name of scientific research.
I'm hurting on this arm, I'm hurting on this, only leaves the legs. It's okay, I guess the inner thigh, that's very sensitive, just whack it on there. I'm sorry that I said that, it hurts. That's a very sensitive area. Okay, take it away. Okay, try this stuff. Oh, look, there's not even any juice coming out. I remember the Aborigines rubbed it, but I don't like that because all it started doing is making any nematocysts fire again.
Is it working?
Vinegar. Come on. Bit more. Oh, look at the redness there.
That's better?
Forget about this one. I'll stay with vinegar. I'm going to lie down. This is the Great Barrier Reef. Wonderful, beautiful, and alive. But soon it may well be one of the few remaining live reefs around the world. Because around the world the coral reefs are dying. Scientists predict that within 20 years, 1/3 of the world's coral reefs will be dead. And in 40 years, 2/3 dead. Some of the reefs are dead already. And the causes are many, but mostly it's man's interference with nature.
Ben travelled the world to assess the disaster and meet with leading authorities.
Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, they're in really bad state. People are overusing reefs and exploiting them too heavily. There's too much stress on coral reefs by human populations.
Actually, a few years ago, the coral around here are very, very good. But when we have development, particularly tourist development, and that causes a lot of deterioration to the reef.
Grecian used to be a vast coral gardens from one end to the other. Beautiful, beautiful elkhorn coral, particularly on the southern end of Grecian rocks. Now there today, the elkhorn coral is still there, but it's skeletons. It's all dead and taken over by algae.
The latest of many awards is a tribute to 50 years of diving.
Ben Cropp here. Yes, I need 20 rolls of...
Ben's busy organising yet another filming expedition, a television series up north. Adam Cropp and Pete West load food for sharks. Lynn and Tuffy are regular crew. Dean is Ben's elder son. Both the Cropp boys share their dad's love for the sea. Ben is multi-talented, a film producer, director and cameraman, astute to include his family in adventures with broad appeal. That wharf is Ben's old home. He lived there for 20 years. The quest this time, tiger sharks, 15 nautical miles off Port Douglas.
Too many bombings there, Adam. can't get through here. Yeah, I'll get around to the left. Very shallow, 2 metres. Lot of reef, isn't there? Like a labyrinth.
The passage into Bad Reef Lagoon is a treacherous maze of coral outcrops.
This looks good. Nice big sandy area. We can see the sharks from a long way away. I think we'll drop anchor. Drift a fair way out. This is great, this pole camera. You know, we have an old saying, there's bold divers, there's old divers, but there's no old bold divers. And when I was young like you, I used to do silly things with sharks. As you get older, you get more cautious. You still get the same shots, but when things get nasty, I take this pole camera. I use that and I won't get bitten.
In tropical waters, tiger sharks are known to come into very shallow water day and night, looking for sleeping rays and turtles. It's now a matter of watch and wait.
Can you load this, please?
Yep.
We might need it.
Okay. Do you want the red filter?
No. We're going to stay in the shallows.
Okay.
Adam is following in the footsteps of his dad and is already an accomplished cameraman and commercial diver.
The camera's ready, Dad.
2 hours later, low tide. A solitary shark and its shadow appears.
Yes, you're excited, Tough. We're going to get a big shark soon. Roll, Adam.
Rolling.
Dean, just pull it in slowly. Pull it in just a little bit. Oh, this is great, Adam. Beautiful shark.
Tawny sharks are not dangerous, but their feeding activity will send signals to the tigers that food is available. The pole camera is unobtrusive, unlike a diver with a camera. Now there are 2 tawnies.
Come on, tawnies. Go for it. Boy, you're shooting up. All the pilot fish and moorings around you.
Dad, there's a lemon coming in over here.
Get some more bait.
I'll put together another one. He's left one on the bottom. See, over there. You want to jump in and get it?
Fix her up again?
I can see a shark there, Ben.
Is it dark?
Yeah, he's dark.
About how long?
Oh, he's about 3 metres.
Okay, it must be a tiger. Get ready, Dean. Just ease it in. Right up behind duck bucket. Slowly bring it in. Well, the tiger took it all. We'll have to try again tomorrow.
What about a night dive, Dad?
No way, Adam. There's too many tigers out here. Just too dangerous. They come in at this time of the night in the shallows to feed. You know, about 30 years ago when I was young and silly, we went down and fed sharks at night, took lamps down. It worked fine at first. I mean, spooky, really spooky. The sharks came up, took the fish from us, and we thought, wow, this is good. So we came back up and got more fish, and we got a really big fish, and thought, okay, this is going to make good film. Out of the gloom came this big shark, and he came up to the fish, and just as he opened his mouth right up to grab it, the lamp blew. It was just a panic. I mean, it just went absolutely black. I had no idea where the shark was. My last vision was a metre away with his mouth open, and we just all went straight to the surface, hit the surface fast.
Oh, the lamp blew. Oh, jeez. That'll me up too.
That'll get them in. Dean, you and Adam, you know, you've been in so many of my films, and people have actually watched you grow up in each of those films.
I want to sound like Star Wars.
Oh, there's 3 tigers now. They're all circling. He's really munching at it. Watch out! Watch out!
Do you feel that you've benefited from all this?
Yeah, absolutely. People twice my age haven't seen the things or been to the places I've been. All I wanted to do is sit down for a rest. Move away! Making documentaries, it's been a really, really good head start into becoming a news cameraman. I use things I've learned out here, out in the water, and shooting animals. I can put them into everyday sort of shooting life back in Sydney.
Right. And also you've got the advantage that you can do underwater for them.
Oh, I love underwater. It's the most enjoyable part of my job when I get to.
The sharks are not attracted to the bait, but Ben knows the tigers live here and often prowl the shallow lagoon. The former shark hunter knows he has to go out and find them. In today's high-tech world, Ben still follows his golden rule with underwater equipment. Keep everything as simple as possible, especially when filming sharks. Bat Reef is home to lots of large marine creatures, including big stingrays, a natural food of the tigers.
His turn. He's moved off. He's going around this way.
The tiger is about 4 metres long, cruising in water barely 2 metres deep.
Just a little to the right. Yeah, that tiger's rolling on his side, and he's looking back at me as he's swimming away. He's chasing something.
taking a calculated risk. Feeding tigers are not easily distracted once their mind is set on their prey.
I got close, but I didn't like it at all. I think I'll film the rest from the dinghy. Adam, there's some splashing. 200 metres this way. It's a tiger. He's after a turtle. He's got it by the flipper. Let's get in closer. Just a little closer. That's it. Oh, that's wild, really wild. Slow down.
Young dugong make a favourite meal when the tiger is hungry. These strange-looking air-breathing mammals are often seen on Bat Reef, but are shy and difficult to approach underwater.
Shark skulks, I'll give them a swim. Come on, Tough.
Ben feels and sees no danger. The lagoon is shallow and clear. With Adam on lookout, the shape of a shark could be seen 100 metres away.
You're not afraid of sharks, are you? He doesn't know about sharks. He thinks they're toys. You know, Dean, I've seen enormous changes in my 50 years of diving. In fact, my shark hunting exploits, I mean, the killing of those sharks, that pales into insignificance when you look at the millions and millions of sharks that are killed every year just to make shark fin soup. And all around the world, the coral reefs are dying. Countries where I've dived and there were absolutely beautiful coral reefs, now there's only 5% of that live coral left. In a way, I feel fortunate that I've lived in an era where I've been there at the beginning. I've been the first to dive or discover something. I've dived on these absolute pristine reefs. I think sadly, you know, you're never going to see what I saw 30, 40, 50 years ago. And in a way, you know, I feel that nature has lost its virginity and it's never going to come back.
Ben receives his greatest honour. At the Cayman Islands, he is inducted into the first International Scuba Divers Hall of Fame. In attendance are the world's diving greats.
It is especially fulfilling for me to welcome you to the official launch of the International Scuba Diving Hall of Fame.
Talk about success. Ben Cropp. How did Ben get there? Well, he started out as a spear fisherman. He was a champion, but one day he traded in the spear gun for camera. And this is what I find so fascinating, are these pioneers that started so long ago and are still working at their craft today. It's as though none of us want to give up what has become our passion in life. So at this time, I'd like to invite Ben to come up here and receive his
Good day, everyone. 50 years ago, it was a very humble, quite primitive beginning. I guess my real hero was Hans Haas, which I'm very, very sorry not to see here tonight because he's a very dear friend. But go back 50 years ago, Hans was my hero. And as a 14-year-old, I wanted to be just like Hans Haas and have a girl like Lottie, go out diving. I think I went through a few Lotties in my lifetime. But I'm very, very pleased to be up here receiving an award along with people like
and Jacques Cousteau. Thank you.
This is the swan song of Ben's extraordinary career. First the Order of Australia, and now the Hall of Fame. Some of diving legends have recently passed away. Jean-Michel, the son of Jacques Cousteau, pays tribute to the memory of his famous father. Ben Cropp's life of adventure has now passed the half-century mark. He is by far the most successful person in his field, a champion and a mentor to divers the world over. His work brings a better understanding of the mysteries of the sea. We are all richer for this. And will continue with more ocean adventures, for his underwater world of corals, shipwrecks and sharks is truly his way of life.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out.
Hey, Dale.
G'day, Ben here.
Good, good.
See you.
Oh, that's nice, the blister pearls.
Yeah, that's one of our ones from Broome.
See you.
How are you, Ben?
Good. Oh, that one, thanks.
Yep, he's a beauty, that one. Hey, what have you been doing with yourself?
Oh, the usual, filming sharks. Good to see you.
Likewise.
Yeah. What a beautiful sunset.